Thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I wanted to share some information with you in an article that I found that the headline is disturbing, and I have actually seen comments that kind of back up this story, not this person's specific story, but the way that the VA is treating some of these claims that we feel as a veteran community should be and are listed as presumptives and for some reason are getting denied. So wanted to read through it here with you, give you my thoughts, my 2 cents on it, see if we could pick out any sort of nuggets along the way, right? So I'm going to read you the headline here and then we'll jump into it. So, Dog and Pony Show. Veterans struggle to obtain cancer benefits 1 year after massive burn pit legislation. All right, so I'm going to share this with you. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And it really helps out the channel, and it helps out all of those looking for this information because it gets it into their hands. If you're not a member, consider joining. It does help out the channel a lot, and it helps me to find you in the comments. All right, so the subtitle, 2 veterans exposed to burn pits overseas said Veterans Affairs denied their cancer claims even after the Pact Act. So let's jump into it. A lot has surprised Robert Johnstone in the past few years, breaking numerous ribs during a physical therapy session meant to help his back. That's horrible. Meant to help his back pain, losing 3 inches of height from a vertebrae compression fracture, and receiving a cancer diagnosis, all at the ripe age of 38. But the Department of Veterans Affairs denying his disability claim twice did not surprise Johnstone. I'm not overly pessimistic. I'm just kind of realistic about things, the now 41-year-old Army veteran told Fox News. The VA does not have the best reputations at times. Johnstone is among the veterans still being denied benefits more than a year after lawmakers passed the Pact Act, a massive bill, as we all know, meant to help former service members exposed to toxins like the burn pits used to dispose of trash at overseas military bases. Critics say the bill left out numerous types of cancer and that the VA is still excluding veterans whose conditions are explicitly covered by the VA or by the bill. So let's see what they're talking about. President Biden signed the Pact Act in August of 2022. Previously, veterans had to fight to prove their conditions were related to toxic exposures, resulting in nearly 80% denial rate by the VA in 2020. The new law was meant to eliminate the burden of proof for veterans by establishing a presumptive service connection for dozens of cancers and other conditions. Service members would only need to submit proof of deployment during the Gulf War or Global War on Terror to one of the countries listed in the bill. And all that can be found on the VA's website. Jonathan Tatum didn't think much of the thick black smoke billowing from the burn pits near the airfield when he was deployed to Afghanistan in 2008. You burn everything in Afghanistan, he said. Trash, porta potties, munitions, medical waste, everything. Well, that's about the clearest version of that I've heard. Usually the media will just say trash. But last year he noticed a lump in his neck. It soon spread from his Adam's apple to the soft spot just under his earlobe. He was 36 years old when his doctor diagnosed him with throat cancer, an ailment not generally seen in patients under 55 years old. Radiation treatments burned his neck and scarred the inside of his throat. He can no longer swallow solid foods. On his best days, he can drink coffee and eat yogurt, eggs, or maybe even pasta. On his worst, he has to be fed through a tube inserted into his abdomen. It's really hindering a lot of things, he said. Head and neck cancers were specifically included in the Pact Act, but the VA denied his claims, citing his longtime use of chewing tobacco. around 30% of veterans reported using tobacco as of 2015, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Oof. His local veteran service officer told him that that wasn't a cause for denial under the Pact Act, so he applied. The VA denied his claim again. Although your burn pit exposure is conceded, the evidence shows that your cancer is due solely to extensive use of tobacco. The denial letter dated August 7th reads, how horrible. He immediately reached out to the Hunter 7 Foundation, which helps sick veterans find and pay for medical care. The nonprofit also informs military members about the health risks of toxic exposures. I was shocked, said Chelsea Simone, an Army veteran registered nurse and executive director of Hunter 7 Foundation. This is the purpose of a presumption. She said she reached out to the VA and was told they'd look into it. On August 10th, she shared his story on Hunter 7's popular Instagram page. He received another letter 11 days later, this time stating the previous decisions were clearly and unmistakably erroneous. A clear and unmistakable error. The VA awarded him a 100% disability rating backdated to when the Pact Act became law. While he's happy with the final outcome, he said he's frustrated that it took a public call out to get the VA's attention. Honestly, I think it's kind of BS and the VA is not doing a better job, he said. Now I'm going to pause right here. I did a video the other day and I talked about the mass exit. Actually, I just did it yesterday. The mass exit of VA employees. This has been happening for the last few years. Okay, these people are just leaving. And there was a few stories in there about the sour attitudes and the pressures to keep up with the workload and earning points for promotions and so forth. And so you just kind of would go through the files quickly. And if you had to deny quickly, you just denied quickly and you didn't look much into it. So this could definitely be a byproduct of that. So let's swim upstream and fix this VA. All right. So moving on. Simone worried that using the veterans' tobacco consumption to invalidate a Pact Act claim won't just be a one-off. In other words, there's thousands of these probably sent out. I feel like we will see a lot of veterans are going to fall through the cracks, she said. The VA says it has a 77.9% approval rate for Pact Act related claims according to the most recent data from September. More than 500,000 veterans and their survivors have completed Pact Act claims since the bill became law. Earlier this year, VA Secretary told the Associated Press that his agency is processing claims faster than expected. Am I satisfied? I'm not, he said, until every veteran in this country knows knows what is available to him or her and has come in and filed a claim. And then we've awarded that claim for him or her. I won't be satisfied. The VA declined an interview request from Fox News, but wrote in an email that the department does not deny a presumptive service connection due to lifestyle factors like tobacco use. Important to know. The department is processing claims at an unprecedented rate and has delivered more than $2.2 billion in Pact Act benefits so far, a spokesperson told Fox News. Nearly 5 million veterans have also received free 10-minute screenings for toxic exposures, a key early detection step. John Stone's story began in 2007 during a 15-month deployment to Iraq. He didn't see the smoke from nearby burn pits for the most part because he worked at night and slept during the day, but he smelled it. We thought it was just smog, pollution, whatever, in the air, he said. It smelled dirty and chemical-like. Then in early 2020, He started experiencing back pain. His doctor sent him to a physical therapist. As the year went on, he broke several ribs during one physical therapy session. Another time, he felt searing pain while bending down to tie his shoes. His height was 3 inches shorter at his next doctor's appointment, and much later, Johnstone learned he had suffered a vertebrae compression fracture. My body was generally breaking down, he said. Finally, September 2020, he was diagnosed with a blood cancer, a condition for which the average age of diagnosis is 69 years old. He was 38 with a 1-year-old son whom he could no longer hold or play with because of the damage to his body. He began treatment immediately but didn't submit a VA claim until July of 2021. That was before the Pact Act, so even though his doctor cited airborne exposures from burn pits as the likely cause of his cancer, Johnstone wasn't surprised to receive a denial letter. That's so ridiculous. So even though the doctor basically did the nexus, they still denied him. His cancer wasn't included by name in the Pact Act, but Johnstone said the VA encouraged veterans to file claims even if their specific cancer was not listed. In February of this year, Johnstone received a second denial. Even if a veteran does not have a service connection for their cancer, we are here to help, Press Secretary Terrence Hayes said in a statement provided by Fox News. We offer world-class affordable, canned responses, right? So we offer world-class affordable cancer care to more than 56,000 veterans facing a new diagnosis every year. And we support more than 450,000 veterans every year who are somewhere on the cancer care continuum, for screening to diagnosis, treatment, and survivorship. Simone raised concerns that the Pact Act would still leave out many cancer-stricken veterans long before its passage. When she went to the White House for the bill signing, she brought 4 guests. They included 2 Army veterans suffering from cancers not covered by the Pact Act and 1 Marine Corps veteran who received a service connection for his lymphoma but at a 0% rating. The Pact Act is a dog and pony show, she said. That's public-facing appearance is all they seem to care about. But time's running out and these people are dying. The VA continues to expand the list of cancers it considers presumptive. Multiple myeloma is now among them, but is listed as a spinal cord cancer, not a blood cancer. That kind of flabbergasted me that they did that, said Johnstone, who is currently enduring his first relapse. His life now involves weekly chemotherapy infusions, daily pills, and nearly constant pain and lethargy. He's also preparing to submit another supplemental claim and is following up with the VA for updates after an agency announced over the summer that it would conduct a scientific review to determine whether certain leukemias outside of the head and neck are connected to toxic exposures and should be considered presumptive. And look, here's the thing. Okay, this thing's over. Sorry, I was a bit choppy through it. It sounded like he submitted a claim with evidence for service connection. He had his Nexus letter, the doctor clearly stating that yes, it was due to his exposures. So I don't understand where the VA is coming from. Typically, what will happen when you do that is if the VA has information that's equal to or less than against what you have, then they should rule in your favor. So if the evidence is what they call it in equipoise, if it's equal on both sides, for and against you, they are to rule in your favor. Now, I don't know if something happened in the CMP exam or what, or if he had maybe a general practitioner saying one thing and then the CMP examiner happened to be a step above and more on the line of cancer for some reason. One way to combat that is make sure that your Nexus letter comes from a specialist, somebody who specializes in the field in which you are being seen for. So not a general practitioner. Get somebody who deals with cancers specifically, and have that Nexus letter there. In any case, I wanted to share this information. I'd love to see your thoughts on this if you hung on this long. I'd love to see your thoughts on is this is it, I didn't think it was a dog and pony show. I think the VA is just completely fumbling the ball and dropping the ball, and not doing their due diligence, right? Based on the past videos that I've done on just I think that there's some mismanagement happening, and I think that there's workload issues. I think that there's exhaustion, morale issues. I think there's all kinds of problems within the VA from a management component, running a business component. I think is where the problem is. I think that I think the Pact Act is put into place. Could it be more extensive? Probably. If your cancer is not on the list, that sucks. Work with a specialist, somebody who specializes in that cancer, and have them write you a Nexus letter that directly ties that cancer to your exposures, and get it done that way. And then, once that happens, then what you'd want to do is work with your congressional leadership and let them know that, look, I got my cancer approved, and I think that this should be a presumptive condition, and so does my doctor, and start supplying that. If we do that on a grand scale, right, every veteran who gets approved for something outside of the Pact Act, then we can work to expand those things proactively. And, it won't help you if you're the one who's doing all the work, right, to get it approved. But if you share that information, now that's one more person that's sharing that information, which then can make change for the people that come behind us, right? It's the whole taking care of each other thing. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.